Hi, my name is Drew, and I edit every episode of Album. That means I'm the first line of defense when something goes horribly wrong. And guess what? It did. This week we're talking about Lulu, the Lou Reed Metallica album, usually considered to be one of the worst albums ever made. And our special guest is Kyle Kinane. It's a concept album about an old guy who sucks making an album with a band that sucks. This album is cursed. Literally, it's cursed. This is the second time that we've tried to do a video special about this album, and both times we've had camera problems. In this episode, you're going to see people's cameras kind of go in and out, and I'm really sorry about that. But in return, this episode is a little bit longer, and if you make it to the end, there is a bonus feature, which I think you're going to really like.
Do I make you horny, baby?
Do I make you horny, baby?
Oh, yeah, baby.
I literally can't think of another Austin Powers thing.
Is Oh, yeah, baby even one of them? I don't even know.
Who throws a shoe?
Behave.
There you go, yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
I had to go through them for a bit.
Yeah. Kyle, did you hit record on the audio?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Drew, you're a little low.
Am I a little low? What
You
about...
Yeah. How is this? A little lower. A reference to Austin Powers 1. Is that better, though?
Yeah,
Okay,
I think so.
good. Who does number 2 work for?
Get in my belly. Okay.
Get in my belly.
Get him, my belly.
Get him.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Al Bummer. If it's your first time watching the show, which it might be because of today's album choice, you're watching Al Bummer. It's a show where music-adjacent comedians send themselves to therapy by listening to shit. Today's the big one. I feel like a lot of you have been waiting for us to talk about this album. I'm one of your hosts, Philip K. Disk, and God, I'm broken again. I've heard this album before, and I'm shattered. Someone else do their thing.
Hi, I'm Knuckles the Hedgehog, and I hurt myself today to see if I still feel.
Hi, I'm Emily Panic, and I am dry and spermless like a girl.
Hi, I'm Dakota Farting, and fool me once, listen to Lulu once, shame on God. Listen to Lulu twice, shame on me.
Hi, I'm Kaufman Powers, and do I make you cut your tits off? Do I?
Damn it.
No, Kyle, did I take your joke?
Do I do this part too? Do I have my part in these intros?
Hey, why
Be
not?
the guest.
I'm Kyle Kinane, and my neighbor came by while I was listening to this in the garage, and now I have to move.
Yeah,
Oh,
folks. Our guest today is comedian Kyle Kinane, and he might not be our friend anymore. Because of
Yeah.
Like, we have to get this out of the way. Kyle and Emily are first-time listeners to Metallica's Lulu. Never heard it before.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we should start off with a little bit of a change from our normal segment. Normally, Kyle, we ask Lucy how she thinks that this album happened. How do you think that this album happened?
I feel this is the logical conclusion of the Andy Warhol universe. Like, if anything can just be art, then this is what meets at the end, is Lou Reed's death ramblings. And I can't, the fact that the songs are all 7 minutes long, there was no take 2 on any of these.
No.
Certainly
nobody,
not.
yeah. I really wanted to try and think about this in a logic, why did this happen? What did, were they in the studio together? That's what I want to know. Or is this part of Metallica's recovery? Like something about their
It's one of the
rehab.
steps.
Yeah, like this is we have to like or is it such like because I kind of got fascinated with how Insane Clown Posse just told everybody they were Christian, like ha, suck it. And I wonder if like this is a test to see if people are still like, you know what, I actually really like what they were doing with Lou Reed. Then they know they have to retool their entire career because like we fooled them all too much, and we have blind loyalty, and that's not how we're going to perfect our musicianship going forward.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but like if you do a 12-step program, the 13th step is you have to make an album with Lou Reed. So as a sober person, I understand.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you go back to drugs and alcohol after that, you know you didn't do the first 12 steps correctly, and you have to start over again.
Yeah.
And the first 12 steps are all making sane anger.
Yes.
So,
And the 14th
maybe
step
have
is
to
making
repeat
yourself
those.
spermless like a girl.
I was going to say without fail, because I was trying to keep myself occupied with other tasks while listening to this.
Yeah.
Whenever I just came close enough to hear any lyric, it was magical. It was just like, well, he's not going to top, spermless like a girl. And like he's like, I'd love myself. Just like cragged ramblings. It was magical every time I got near the speaker in the garage, and then the neighbor did come over, and I was like, "Ooh, this isn't." We're part of it. We're part of an HOA, and like,
He's going to make you paint your house.
You got to
yeah,
move.
he's like, I need approval if we can paint our door orange, and it's just Lou Reed, like I'm titless or whatever. I'm like, yeah, man, I cannot tell you to not paint your house whatever color you want. If this is what I'm doing at mine, so good luck.
He comes in, you just start like snapping your finger.
Yeah.
If you were allowed to even listen to that album.
Yeah, orange it's a little confrontational, buddy. I don't know. It's kind of a loud color for the neighborhood.
Hey, you might want to take that up with the building inspector.
Yeah.
Kyle, do you have I feel like you have some history with Metallica, but do you have history with Lou Reed? Are you a Lou Reed guy?
I think I got, somebody plays you Velvet Underground, and it's much like old Metallica. I'm 45, so these things came along at about the same time, early junior high. I had like one older cousin that would play like old Metallica, and I'll make the same joke I was making to name drop. I was opening for Jawbreaker this weekend, and for their Dear You tour, and I made the same joke, like that album didn't affect me much because my parents are still married. So same thing with like old like thrash Metallica. I'm like, this is what happens when your mom doesn't make you come home for dinner. Is you listen to this stuff. This is scary. And then the Velvet Underground is like, okay, this is kind of mellow. But I would only hear the hits where it's Lou Reed this guy just gets to talk. And that's all right. And this is kind of like poetry. This is kind of like an interesting turn of phrase you're using. But then if you listen to anything past the 4 or 5 songs that have been deemed acceptable by normal listening standards, you're like, this is just what this guy does. This guy's just reading lists. just unjoined thoughts coming out of his mouth. Like, all right. So that was my history with Lou Reed. I was fine with him up until this afternoon, though.
Yeah. It's that makes a lot of sense. Emily, do you have a history with Lou Reed?
Sort of. I mean, I like the Velvet Underground. I like some Lou Reed solo stuff. I actually was thinking about it. I think I sort of have a Lou Reed story. It didn't happen to me directly, but I used to play in a band like 12 years ago, and our manager also managed Lou Reed. And I think it was actually at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing where Lou Reed met Metallica and played with Metallica. So she was like the underling for her boss. Her boss owned the management company, and she was like one of the underling managers. And apparently Lou Reed was really abusive to her. And at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing, he screamed at her in front of everybody during rehearsals. And then she kind of walked away and she was crying. And Cyndi Lauper went up to her and was like, "Don't worry, sweetheart. He's a fucking prick to everyone." Which is kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, I like the Velvet Underground. I like some solo stuff, but that's the extent of my history.
I think that's a great challenge, is like Lou Reed Mad Libs. That if you could put any thought into a Lou Reed song, and Lou Reed fans would not know it to be out of place.
Right. They're like, that was definitely on Metal Machine music.
Yeah. Building sandcastles out of fingernails. Yeah, man, that's classic Lou.
You could build, an AI that's Lou Reed. It's I'm making my alimony payments with potato salad.
He's been dead for 30 years. Yeah.
That's my favorite thing about Lou Reed fans. They keep getting older and dying, and so did he.
That was a good Matthew McConaughey, Drew.
Thank you.
Really committed to the voice. I loved it.
Oh, yeah.
Dove into it.
Yes, they do.
$1 million.
Yes, they do.
I don't remember Jeremy or Lucy or Drew's history with Lou Reed either. Jeremy?
So when this is going to be a brief tangent, I'm sorry, but when I was young, I got a record player for the first time, and I got really into going to a used record store and just picking out like 5 things from the cheapo bin and just taking them home and listening to them and just seeing what they are. And if I liked them, I'd keep them. If I didn't like them, I'd either paint on them or destroy them. And one of the times that I went, I got the first Velvet Underground album, the Banana Peel one. And this was before the first Strokes album, so this is before everybody rediscovered the Velvet Underground and started going crazy for them again. So I got a early pressing of the first Velvet Underground album for I want to say it was $2. And I took it home, I listened to it, I loved it. I listened to it over the years for a long time. Many years later, I find out this is a very early pressing that's worth a lot of money. So it becomes a a prized collector's thing for me, and I hold on to it for a really long time. Until midway through college, when a junkie roommate of mine steals it to sell for drug money. And I asked him how much he got for it, and he said $5.
No.
Oh my God.
Isn't that what should have happened to that album, though?
Yes, that's the thing. That's the thing, is I
Lou
couldn't really
Reed.
be that mad. It's never been tangibly worth anything to me. I bought it for $2.
He sold it for Lou Reed. He sold it to Lou Reed.
Yeah.
To Lou Reed.
Anyway, I loved that album a lot, and I still do really love that album. Everything else by him, I could take or leave. I think White Light, White Heat is pretty good, too. But that's it.
Yeah, that's fair. Lucy,
I don't know if that's fair, but okay.
Nothing is fair. We had to listen to Lulu to pay our rent. Nothing is fair.
Yeah. I feel like it's fair. In my mind, it's fair to like or not like any Lou Reed. I get why people are into it, and I completely get why people are like, this is insane.
Yeah.
But Lucy, I feel like last time we talked about this, you're a Lou Reed person, right?
I don't know that I'd say I'm a Lou Reed person. And it's weird. I was about to say I definitely have more of a history with Lou Reed than I have with Metallica. But now after you guys have experimented on me and shaped me into the keyboard monster I am, I don't know if I can truly say that. But Lou Reed, I do like Lou Reed. I find him to be usually, pretty listenable. But it's I've never really loved his persona. I don't really love, I don't really get into the whole, shit like Street Hustle. I'm torn about it because to me it is a very good song, but it's also a song that would be it would claim that it was doing the opposite. Lou Reed would probably claim it was doing the opposite, but there's a little bit of a feeling like it romanticizes a woman just overdosing while people call her a cunt, and it's which by the way I can't believe that the guy who wrote that song yelled at a woman. It's really shocking.
Not being a huge Lou Reed fan, isn't that every Lou Reed song?
But yeah, like I guess I'm a little torn about Lou Reed, but I do, but fundamentally I do like him as a musician. Yeah,
Right.
It seems like Lou Reed is what happened. Like, you know, like in like when you watch like CSI or something, and there's a video far away. Like, we need to get that plate, enhance. Like, if you do that to a Bob Dylan album, you get Lou Reed.
Yeah, Lou Reed is like a cross between Bob Dylan and a pastrami sandwich. Like, physically, I mean.
I like the album New York, but most Lou Reed just sounds like a guy yelling in like a like a city planning meeting over an acoustic guitar. It's crazy.
It's a guy saying New York used to be wild over and over again.
Oh my God. Yeah. Drew.
Oh, well, you know, so we did this once before, and it's still on YouTube, and I didn't listen to it to figure out what I said last time that was a lie. So my history with Lou Reed, I'll simplify it so I don't get caught. One is that the first time I ever heard Lou Reed was that I downloaded the album Transformer because I thought it was about Transformers. And it sucks.
Yeah.
But then most of my relationship with Lou Reed has just kind of been in passing. Like, he was in the book Please Kill Me, and I remember being annoyed by everything he said. And then when I worked at the Apple store in Chelsea, he lived in Chelsea, and my brother would help him out all the time with his Mac Mini, which to me is still just very funny. Just the thought of like Lou Reed coming in with his tiny Mac, just being like, "Yeah, there's something wrong with the vulva." He was seriously
He's
in there
using
once
the
a week.
anatomically correct terms for the MacBook Mini.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I liked Hetfield coming in when it's like, I guess I'll just sing backups here. Like, I'll just do what he did, but how I do it, you know?
Come on, James.
Yeah. All right, something crazy. Hoorah!
Clinical depression going to Crate and Barrel. It could be anything. Like
It is.
any combination of words and stuff. I don't. Emily and Kyle, we cursed you today. Like, we've been cursed for 40 years because we've listened to it previously, and we're gonna get into.
You
what
played
we
us the
thought on
tape
this.
from The Ring, and now
That is what it feels like. It does feel like he gets on the phone with you, and like you answer the phone, and he just whispers like, "You're a cunt."
This
7 days, you cunt.
If I just created scenarios that weren't Metallica and Lou Reed, and it was just like a pirate following a homeless guy around, yelling anything he was saying, like that. Visually, that brought me to a more enjoyable place to listen to it. So that's how I had to recreate the album for myself, like James Hetfield, like swashbuckling. Jizzless lizards. Oh, Lou Reed just like, it's pretty fun if that's what's going on. I don't know if jizzless lizards is
I believed it. I think that's that one. I'll have to look it up. I'm pretty sure that's track number
I
6.
think it's got to be in the album because this entire thing it sounds like a guy having a stroke in a Guitar Center. Like,
Yeah.
It's just a guy forgetting he's forgetting the word toast, but he's smelling toast and he's trying to figure it out for an hour and a half.
Well, I feel like it's reminiscent of what I'd imagine it would be like to drown while listening to Metallica. Like every time your brain starts to lose oxygen, it starts to become Lou Reed.
That makes sense because, like he's talking about like Brandenburg Gate and Boris Karloff and all these old things. And I thought like, oh, is he giving us a history lesson? But it's just like, no, the 7 brain cells that he have left.
Yeah, they're flashing his life before his eyes.
He's just remembering the 60s because that's like the last time he was sober.
Yeah.
Yeah, you say that about like comedians, like you say like, oh, that guy could read the phone book and make it funny, and Lou Reed just can't read the phone book anymore.
Lou Reed is like, I remember the phone book. We used to look it up to buy heroin on page 74.
We used to look up women to bully on the phone.
They put Chinese people in the phone book now. What's up with that?
Chinese people in the phone book.
Can I tell you? I like this album.
Fuck
Really?
you.
I really enjoyed it.
I gotta tell you, I liked it better than the last time I listened to it.
Me too.
Fuck you.
I thought it was cool. I thought it was really cool and bold because it's just like weird and raw and intense and violent, but it certainly is not the worst thing we've ever listened to. And parts of it I thought were really good. And I also just appreciate how fucking over the top and intense he was on the record.
I
think
love
it's
this.
cool.
This is what we needed.
All right. Well, we have broke. I can't believe that Emily broke before Lucy. I can't believe this. Here's this. I think you are hearing the literal things that happened making this album, because this album happens when they meet at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then it's literally an album like that is recorded with Metallica under the confusion of, is this art or is this duress? Because Lou Reed is like trying to fight Lars at certain points. Like apparently he tried to fist fight him.
They set themselves up for that. They were at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and they saw Lou Reed yelling at a woman and they were like, hey, we should work with that guy.
I like where this guy's going.
Yeah, I like his style.
Kyle, did you?
This guy's got fuel. He's got fire.
Oh, it's Lars and James, and they go up to him and they're like, "Hey, we saw you from across the bar, and we really liked your vibe." Me and my drummer saw you from across the bar.
They send him over a drink. They're like,
It's a glass of rubber cement. Kyle, did you look up like any of the shit like about this album?
No, I just went for it.
Nice. Went in cold.
I was like, Metallica, Lou Reed. All right, that's I don't think it's gonna be peanut butter and jelly, but how bad could it be? And then, so I don't know if they recorded this in the studio together.
they did.
They did.
Oh, so they all had to. They all had to look at each other. What was happening?
They sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Crazy.
They literally like played in a circle.
I think it was like everybody looking at Lou Reed. I think Lou is calling the shots here.
Definitely, yes. I thought it does sound like he's calling shots because I thought that it sounded like Lou recorded his vocal tracks and then mailed it to Metallica, who then had to play music to the vocal tracks that already existed.
Right.
Well, that's complicated because,
Yeah.
the Lars parts of this are the most Lars. Like the random cymbal hits and the weird moments. I can't tell if he's trying to play to Lou Reed or if he's just Lars.
He's just Lars. He's thinking about his Basquiat. He's like thinking of himself as an artist as he's hitting the cymbals.
Honestly, to Emily's point, like, while I do still find 90% of this album unbearable and the rest of it still bad, even though it might be bearable, like, I did notice certain things that I remembered really hating, like particularly hating on the first listen. Like, I didn't hate as much this time. Like, I didn't hate Junior Dad as much this time.
Oh my god.
That's like the one that everybody likes.
Yeah.
It's 20
If
minutes.
they have
the
to
one
pick.
that famous hit single Junior Dad.
Remember when it topped the radio charts and you just sat at your...
He wrote that song and then he died 3 years later, which is a miracle because he should have died while he was recording that song. He's so unwell.
He was on his way. You could tell. There's some heart palpitations happening in these songs.
That is, I will say, the thing that I realized listening to that song, the positive is that I realized that is the 2 funniest words for describing a small father that you possibly could. Junior Dad is funnier than, like, you know, Little Papa. Or, like, any way you say it, Junior Dad's the funniest.
I don't know. Little Papa's pretty good.
Or like you, yeah. I don't want to be called the third, but I'll call my dad Junior Dad because he's the second. That's what I was thinking it was.
Emily, can I ask you
like
a question?
He's actually Lou Reed the third, but he doesn't want to. Yeah.
Who are you asking a question?
Emily, I would like to ask you a question since you seem to have enjoyed it.
You may address me.
Yes, if it pleases the court. Emily, did you actually like the album, or did you like the idea, and if it was like 1 song, maybe 2, it would be okay? Or do you actually appreciate all 147 minutes of this?
No, I don't appreciate... It's 127 minutes. I don't appreciate all of those minutes, but I listened to it last night. I got high. I went to walk my dog for like a long time, an album's length of time, and I just didn't know at all what to expect, and I was just like, wow, he really went for it with this, and it just was very dramatic and theatrical and very intense at times, and there were times where I was like, this is cool, and then he said something horribly offensive and I was like, well, it's less cool. But but I like, and I also, because I have now the context of knowing that he was trying to score this like old German play, you know, what's his name, Frank Wedekind.
It's Faust, technically, somehow.
Is it?
It's supposed to be Faust, but it sure isn't.
It's Frank Wedekind is the name of the playwright.
Emily, I did think you were about to say old German woman. He was like trying to score this old German woman, so he like made this album.
He sent a glass of rubber cement across the bar to the German woman.
As a score for a German play, I'm like, this sounds like a score to a weird German play. Because it's very harsh and intense and like over the top. But
that is a cop-out. Everything we've listened to on this show has sounded like the score to an old German play.
Yeah.
You're right. You're right.
Corey Feldman's Angelic.
I was going to say.
Angelic 2 Dicor.
No, but I legitimately was like, oh, this isn't as bad as everybody made me think it was going to be. Like, I did enjoy some of the parts. I did enjoy a lot of it. Obviously, I was like, every song could be cut, you know, down by 3/4.
Yeah.
But
did you listen to it again?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Dude.
Wow. Is there anything that you enjoyed?
Not listening to it. I enjoyed every time I was out of earshot of the speaker that was playing in the garage.
I will say.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
You will say, Jordan. You will say first.
I will say, just with Kyle, like I was like, I mentioned before, I was like, sorry in advance, like you're gonna be mad at me, and you were at first you texted back like, it'll be fine. I just did like a metal cruise or whatever. 6 hours later, you were like, I'm 30 seconds in and I'm not sure I can do it.
I had to, like, I guess I mean, okay, you're going to get high and walk your dog. Like, all right, that's a place that you can reserve for. And I'm like, well, where do I have that now that I ran out of free time to put this on and be in a mentally and physically comfortable place to enjoy it? I'm like, no, I have shit to do. And I'm actively rubbing my asshole with sandpaper while I do chores now. Because that's what this feels like. I have to go get a PCR test today, and I got to go do this. And I just feel like I'm just gargling with paint while I'm doing this. Like, this is not the time to have listened to this. This is why I'm trying to clean a garage and do shit.
listening to this album while trying to do anything else is like, imagine like you're at your desk like building a Lego, and then Lou Reed comes over and just knocks it out of your hands.
I
It's
was
like
gonna
Lou Reed
listen
coming
to
over
this.
singing this album at me. Is what it is.
I was gonna listen to this on my way to go pick up my son at daycare, and I switched it on. I stepped out the door, and I got maybe to the end of the block before I was like, I can't fucking do this.
Family services
I would be concerned
comes
about
over.
what's going to happen
They're
to
gonna take him
Nico.
away.
I was taking the dog. I was like, I gotta drive both of these dogs to the vet, and I was about to put the album on in the car, and I decided to just drive in silence and not hit play because I was like, this is scary enough for the dogs. They don't need to. They do not need to hear a man this old yelling word like just noises.
Yeah, I
No.
mean, to be honest, I don't know if this album should be legal to play this album within like 50 miles of a school. Like,
No. And with dogs, they're like, it's like grapes. Like to us, it's okay. Maybe you like them, maybe you don't. It will hurt the dog. Don't give the dog Lulu.
Right.
Emily, I want you to do. I don't know how to like. You genuinely thought it was interesting, so I'm sorry, but I'm curious. Like, listen to it not high, maybe.
I did. I listened to it again today.
Oh,
You're
Oh my
immortal.
God.
You're an immortal person.
She cannot be killed.
God damn, man.
How did you feel of it high? Or sorry, how did you feel sober versus high listening?
Well, I just think in general, when I'm high walking my dog at night, that is the optimal time for me to listen to music. And also, I certainly am more generous with how I feel about it just because I'm high and everything is more like scenic if I'm walking around at night or something. But yeah, in the day, it was worse, I guess.
I think oh, sorry.
I don't know what else to say about it.
Well, I was going to say, as far as a military application, I think it would be effective. Like,
Yeah.
because that like when they played Van Halen to get Manuel Noriega to quit, I'm
Right.
like,
Yes.
this album, I'll give you bank account information if you play this outside my house on repeat.
I've already been recruited. They told me not to say that, but cut that out, Drew. But yeah.
I shouldn't have admitted that. I should have said that out loud. I hope nobody knows where I live.
I forgot, Emily, you had that really great job interview at Guantanamo Bay. You really wowed him.
I was thinking, I'm not even kidding, I was thinking so much about Guantanamo Bay while I was listening to this. Because I was thinking about how they did, those stories did come out about how they were torturing prisoners with Metallica music specifically.
Why is it
And
no?
listening to this and how much you end up like trusting James, like because you're just getting like abused by Lou Reed over and over and over again. And every time James comes back on, you're like, James, I'll tell you anything. Anything you want to hear, man. Just keep singing, not him.
James, please sing a hook.
That was when WikiLeaks happened. Was in
Yes.
2011 when the Guantanamo
This is
Bay
no
papers came out.
coincidence.
Follow the money.
This is an op. This is a CIA op.
Yeah. Quick aside, though, I just want to say, whenever I hear those stories, like when they blasted Van Halen or like at Guantanamo Bay and Abu Ghraib, where they actually did like play Metallica to annoy people, I always think it's so funny how like base level normie people in the military are. Like no one actually thought to go in for like a technical death metal band.
Yeah, right.
Or anything disgusting. They're just like, yeah, what's the heaviest thing we can think of? Oh, Metallica.
Yeah. Play some goddamn Pig Destroyer. My God.
I used to work in an office and listen to like Pissgrave while I was like editing transcripts because it's just horrible noises, and it was the opposite of like a sterile office environment, which is why I also aced my job interview.
That's why I think you'd want to go. Yeah, I think you'd want to go with like a Cyndi Lauper, like girls just want to have fun, because that's ideologically the opposite of what they agree with, and that would be more upsetting to them. Some female empowerment of like, these ladies are out there singing and shaking and having a great time. We are definitely losing this war right now.
We've already lost.
Yeah.
This is happening. We've already lost.
Playing
Katy
the kids
Perry's
in
taking
America.
a sample from Outfield right now.
This album is awful, but I think the only way... I have a theory about this album. I've revealed it on the... like when we talked about this at Giant Bomb HQ. And it's the only way I can view this album to where I like think it is a remarkable and interesting piece of art. And in a way that maybe like Emily and I can be in like can look at it similarly. And that is, I think that this entire album is Lou Reed doing a prank on Metallica. I think he is tricking them. I think he met them and was like, these guys are not the smartest gentlemen, even at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I think that they were like looking for their next creative step, and they were like, oh, we could do this thing with Lou Reed, and he is fucking with them and tricked them into...
And he's like already dying, so he's like, as my last act, I'm going to fuck this band.
I'm going to fuck with this band. And so the entire time he's just like, you want to make art? This is art. Like, art is me. Fight me, Lars. This is art. Like, play this song for 10 minutes. The song is not over. I haven't said clit enough times. Like, and that's the only thing that makes any sense. I don't think that they actually could have thought that this was like a good idea. I think that they could have fooled. I feel like this is the problem of the like tortured artist theory, and I feel like this is the like most
torturing artist theory.
Torturing artist, like he's Kyle. You haven't been here for any other episodes, and you're better off for it. But we've talked a lot about how just I think that people get lost in the sauce when they're like, like every great album was created under duress. And I think that the real thing is that they got created in spite of duress. Like there's like the torture has really nothing to do with it. Because most things that are created in turmoil, they just kind of don't happen. Like that art just doesn't exist because the band breaks up or whatever. Yeah. And I think artists will try to, like a bad thing that happens is artists try to like falsely create turmoil in a way where they believe that will make the great album come out of them. And I think that this was Metallica's second version of that, and they had a man fucking with them through it. I think he knew exactly what they were trying to do.
Lou Reed was their Bob Rock for this album.
Yes, exactly.
Why can't I hear a Real Big Fish album created under duress? Like when's the infighting of 9 people with trombones? Like that's
the polyphonic spree.
That's the story I want to hear. This is already a band that's based in angry and aggressive music and conflict. But I want to hear somebody create the most joyous party. I'm having my birthday party at a bowling alley music, but then the behind the studio thing is somebody like throwing a trumpet against the wall and quitting. Like that would be the juxtaposition I would like to see.
We deserve the Mustard Plug Heroin album.
The reason you haven't heard the tortured Real Big Fish album is because you haven't listened to Real Big Fish after album 2. I assure you they have 9 tortured albums. Listen to some 2011.
The Real Big Fish guy has he's had 17 meltdowns and the band's had to go on hiatus, right?
Wow.
Really?
How did you even know that?
He very famously had a freak out at a show and was like, I can't do this anymore, and threw his guitar.
The fish are too big. Sorry.
I can't tell anymore. Am I reeling them or are they reeling me?
These really are some big fish.
It's like a screenshot of the Notes app, and it's like, I'm taking some time to reel in some small fish. Myself.
His new project's just called Sturgeon. It's him solo. It's really stripped down.
Fish, the singular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple of minnows. Upon my listen this time, I realized I believe my theory more. Not just because I thought, not just because that's the thing I made up, but it feels like this is the natural progression from Saint Anger. Because we've talked about how Saint Anger is an album that's made from just confusion. Guys who don't like I think that when Metallica without Dave and Cliff is just them trying to figure out what their identity is without those guys. Dave is what inspires all of like the thrash and punk, like fast elements of Metallica. Cliff is all the classical music elements, and that's what first four Metallica albums are. And and with the Black Album, that's the first time they really have to craft something from like the ground up without any influence from those guys. And that works. And then they are like, well, that was a huge departure. Let's just keep everything is a huge departure. And then then you get to Saint Anger, and it's one of the most misguided things that's ever happened. And then Jeremy, as you've brought up a couple of times.
Yeah, I was going to say, man, the craziest thing about this theory, though, is that in between Saint Anger and Lulu, they have their best album in like a decade at least, maybe more. Yeah, more.
No.
Decades,
Death Magnetic, well, I was going to say, that happens because they're going to Rick Rubin, and they're like, please help us. We don't know what to do. And he's like, you're going to make Master of Puppets again. And they're like, okay,
Rick,
thank you. Thank you, Rick, finally. And then they do it, and kind of no one gives a fuck. The album looks like a coffin that is full of diarrhea.
It looks like Venom's coffin is what it looks like.
Yeah,
sure.
It looks like an ad for the movie Mobius, which no one is going to see.
Yeah. If his coffin was full of diarrhea, the color's brown, guys. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's very obviously brown.
I think we should all take turns going around debunking Jordan's theory, though, because he is the only one who believes it.
I think we should come up with the combos that should erupt. When was like Dave Mustaine gonna get Ernest Borgnine to sing for Megadeth and like put out that concept album?
I love that.
I think it would be better.
So you think they purposely were trying to make their lives difficult to create something unique, or do you think they just heard Johnny Cash's cover of Hurt and they're like, we can pull something out of that?
We could find a guy who's gonna die.
Yeah.
I think it is Metallica desperate for guidance because Death Magnetic doesn't work the way they want. So they are then like, without Death Magnetic working, it was like until Hardwired, they don't have a success. Their last album works. They people loved it. They did the Lady Gaga thing. People are happy. It charted. They don't have. They can't figure out what to do. So I think the next logical step is doing something that feels artistically crazy, a huge departure for them. And I think at this point they have that Bob Rock is a guide. Rick Rubin's the next guy.
They're just looking for a father figure, really.
Yeah, a father figure for the band. And I think Lou Reed saw that, and Lou Reed is one of the most cruel, awful douchebag human beings that has ever existed. Whether
he's a junior dad.
Yeah. Whether I like the Halloween parade song or not, he's an evil motherfucker for many reasons, and I think he did this as like a prank on Metallica. I think that Metallica think they're making art, and in the process they're like, I guess James, sing something. I don't know. Lou isn't singing right now. I'm a little girl. I think they are confused the entire time, but they think that this is how a great album is made in a world in a field that they're not a part of. They think
because they have so much reverence for Lou Reed. I mean, all of the interviews, they're just like, this is the best art. We've made the best album.
Yeah,
and they look up to him so much.
Lucy, what do you think
Drew?
as the resident Metallica expert?
Thank you, Drew, for recognizing that. Since you prompted it, I mean, I have an alternate theory that tracks pretty closely to Jordan's theory, but it's fundamentally different. I think maybe, yes, Metallica really looked up to Lou Reed and really needed a daddy. And yes, Lou Reed didn't respect the members of Metallica, but I also think that Lou Reed strikes me as a very egotistical person who, even if he didn't respect that band, might be kind of like flattered that these boys from a very different genre of music liked him so much. And maybe in some ways his writing on that album is him weirdly trying to write to them. Like, it's like, and demonstrate to them that he can do what they do. But because it's Lou Reed, that mixture is so weird that it created this. But it may not have been him bullying them so much as him trying to maintain their image of him.
So it's kind of like a Mary Poppins situation, but instead of giving them etiquette lessons, he's jacking off in front of them.
Yes, exactly.
But it did have the tones of, like, you see like an old person get mad at a fast food restaurant and they haven't been out loud mad in a while, so it just comes off real shaky and they're like, "Oh, take this napkin dispenser and put it back down again." Like they
weren't expecting to lose their shit. Yeah,
and they don't know how to do it anymore. But then I'll add, can I go back to my original theory that this is the extrapolation and the logical conclusion of the Andy Warhol universe?
Yeah.
And Lou Reed's pulling up the Andy. Did I say Andy Rooney or did I say Andy Warhol?
You almost said Rooney, but you were.
I got a real disconnect
caught it
from
in time.
things. He
I would
inadvertently
love to see
turned
paintings
into
by
Andy Rooney. Yeah. Andy Rooney is working with Sepultura. It's going to be wild. And then Metallica is just the soup cans. Like, see? It's art. I let it be art. Anything's art. These guys, do your thing.
I love the idea of the cinematic universe for Andy Warhol, and then like him dying is Avengers Endgame, and now I don't know what is like Eternals and all these movies that nobody's seeing. I guess it's just the licensed mints that you can buy in a store right now. Like next to the Bob Ross mints, there's like an Andy Warhol shaped condom or something.
Yeah. And I know nothing about any of this enough to act like I'm just talking out my ass. I just
Could I
so
it's a podcast, baby.
It's a podcast.
I just look like a guy who likes Metallica enough to just be in his garage like, "New Metallica? I'll check it out. The fuck is this, bro? The fuck are you guys doing right now?"
Could I present an alternate theory that I think kind of ties a few of these together?
Cool. Sure.
Yeah.
So I do think that, Jordan, I think you're right that this is Lou Reed bullying Metallica into making a bad album. I think that's 100% what's happening. Lou Reed is pranking them in some sense. And Kyle, I think you are right that this is deeply tied in with Warhol. But what I think you need to look into is the interaction between the CIA and modern artists throughout the 50s and 60s, using modern art as a means of pacifying American people against revolution. And Lou Reed, being deeply involved in this, I think became involved in MK Ultra. And this is a mind control op by the CIA to get him linked up with Metallica to make the quote-unquote worst album in the world, but in reality, the perfect album to use at CIA black sites like Guantanamo Bay.
Yes. Can I piggyback onto that?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my God.
Don't forget that also the modern art movement was pushed by the U.S. government to show American individualism and exceptionalism, and that the MoMA was actually founded by the Rockefellers. who at the time had seats on the government. And so what you're actually seeing is that the government is creating Lulu as the perfect album to remind other countries that they don't have our freedom.
It's true. Lulu could never happen behind the Iron Curtain.
Never.
So true.
Which is why it is it is technically a German piece.
Right.
Like it's about Germany.
Yes.
Right. It's come full circle.
This is we have gotten. You guys got so deep with that conspiracy theory. I was like, this ends at the Jews are lizard people.
Whoa, Jordan, come on.
If we're being honest here, it's those part of that is not a conspiracy theory. You should look it up. The Jews are lizard people, and I love eating flies.
I love it.
That's the chorus to Iced Honey, track 5 on the album.
That's the subliminal message under Iced Honey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Drew, you really don't think that this is here's what I really think is going on. I think it is a mean thing, but I think the thing that Lucy brought up is that that Metallica speaks with so much reverence from Lou Reed. This is what happens when two people make something and they're two very different artists and they've never listened to each other. They don't know what the other person does at all. So they are both just doing their things, but the other person has no actual understanding or appreciation at all. Fucking Metallica has never listened to Lou Reed.
No, they said in an interview something about how like Lou Reed's the original outsider and we're outsiders. Meanwhile, they're like the fucking top selling
Hilarious.
metal band.
Dude, that's a funny idea though, that it's like it's two bands collaborating where they both think that they're the bigger band that the other one has to like kind of react to, and then neither of them reacts to the other.
They are like they look at Lou Reed and they're like, oh yeah, he's like they know, like they're like, yeah, he's like one of the glam guys. Like I know David Bowie, I've heard Changes, but that's it. Like they've never they know that Lou Reed, that like the bass line from a Lou Reed song is in A Tribe Called Quest. That's it.
Do you want my actual hot take without bits?
Yeah,
Please.
Sure. It's two bands that have been sucking for multiple decades, working together to make something that sucks. Metallica they were the biggest metal band of all time because they were also kind of the first to get that success, and they're just like perpetually falling uphill because they already did all the hard work in the 80s, and then by the 90s all they have to do is exist and they sell out. They're the biggest band in the world because who else is going to take their place?
Right.
And then Lou Reed was synonymous with like the 70s art house movement and all of this art rock, glam rock, psychedelica bullshit. And so clearly, I don't think Lou Reed ever listened to a single Metallica song. And I think Metallica probably knows like this handful of songs and maybe one of the albums from the 70s. But neither of them are up to date with each other's current catalog where they both suck. And I bet you they share a manager, and their manager's like, hey, you guys should do something together because we could make $150.
And
that's all that happens.
Just what happens when you are the point person for like a group that big, a manager or somebody who they like, we're looking at you for the common sense take. By the way, we're doing an album with Lou Reed, and you have to be the guy going, I don't know, guys. This one might go a little sideways on you. Like at what point you get so big that you're only surrounded by yes people, and that's why these things happen.
Yeah.
That's the thing is I feel like if they had the same manager and there was like, I feel like
well, I know that they didn't because I knew Lou Reed's manager when this happened.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think either way, I don't think that this is something that was. I don't think it's.
Could have
just
shared
like,
a booking agent. Just throwing it out there.
Okay. Well,
could be.
I think that this is so ridiculous and misguided and not mixed well. Like, there's no fucking way.
I have no problem with the mix. I thought it was a good mix.
Emily, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
Emily's sleeper cell just woke up.
Now you're just trying to be difficult.
I'm not. I constantly comment on the mix of various records that we do. I had no problem with the mix. I thought it was a fine mix.
It did seem like everything you heard, they wanted you to hear. If that's what defines a good mix.
It sure doesn't.
It's not. I mean, I get it. You wish that Lou Reed's vocals were mixed all the way down.
I like the choices. There's just so many sonic choices in this that are bananas. I'm just saying this sounds too unhinged to not be a complete catastrophe of just like artistic confusion. And I think that it's just I think, yeah, because like Kyle brought up the Warhol ties, like there is I think it's too fucked up to just be an accident.
I think the mix is definitely the sound engineer going, you know what? You guys should keep it raw just so we can get the fuck out of the studio.
Yes, exactly.
You know what? I'm not even going to touch it because you guys
nailed it.
You nailed it.
Wow.
You guys
If we mess with it too much, it's really going to lose the flavor, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like the sound of the room is what brings it all together.
Yeah.
Like the listener
Let's go
feels like
all
they're here.
room, Mike.
And they're slitting their wrists right now. So we don't want to lose that.
It is, this thing is, Emily, your take is fucking crazy. This is the worst thing ever made. What the fuck, dude?
I mean, I just think that, you're not as sophisticated as I am. Which viewers already know who have seen this show before.
They're always saying it.
They're constantly. I read the comments. I know.
I do think that upon this listening of it, like I could actually see there being a very specific fan base for this album. Like one time for my birthday, I got tickets to this concert where this really bad music was being played. And it was bad, and it was like really like it was ambient music that I really did not like. But all of the people there seemed to be very excited for the ambient music. And every time the horrible music started, they were just kind of like waiting on bated breath for the climax of the music, which to me seemed to never come, but to them it seemed like really thrilling.
Been their sister.
And I think those people at that theater would love Junior Dad.
What was the show, and who bought you those tickets?
Dox them, please.
What is their address?
I can't dox.
I think maybe you have nailed actually who this is for, and it's kind of like a gift for someone that you don't know anything about, because who still buys CDs? Metallica fans and Lou Reed
dad.
fans. Exactly.
Well, yeah. So yeah.
So this is a plot to sell things.
Interesting.
My dad actually did buy me every Velvet Underground CD for my birthday or like Hanukkah or something like 3 years ago. I have that
That's
stack
so
of
funny.
CDs. I was like, I
incredible.
can't.
Gesture, yeah.
I hear what you're saying, Lucy, and that feels like this feels like the audio equivalent of like people who just like miserable art films. But as we've discovered, like this feels like when I haven't seen season 3 of Twin Peaks. I just don't really want to. I'm like, don't
It's
have.
good.
I don't. There you go. I don't have the I don't have like the energy to have an opinion on it, but there is like it's like not the show. It's just a bunch of David Lynch shit for
No, but Jordan, I actually wrote down last night when I was listening to this record, I was like, this is Lynchian. That's what I wrote down.
But here's the thing.
That's why I liked it.
You're absolutely right, unfortunately.
No, it totally is. But the thing is, dude, it's not as fun to just listen to a thing that is miserable. Like in an art, in like a visual medium, you can participate. there's something beautiful about like watching an explosion for 45 minutes or whatever the fuck is going on in that one episode. But listening to Lynch type shit is chaos. It's
Honestly,
there's not as much. I don't think it has as. I don't think it can have as much value or interest as a visual medium.
You know what? I just figured out based on these last comments what this album needs. It needs like a really weird movie that it somehow syncs up to.
Yes.
Yeah.
That people
absolutely yes.
That
The
people
German
can go
play
and
is-
see on
German
Halloween.
play.
It's a Halloween thing. It should play on Halloween, and people should go out to hear it
It
play.
actually syncs up perfectly to the footage of Lou Reed getting the liver surgery that killed him.
Kyle, what were you gonna say?
I'm just glad I could use Lynchian to instead, because I'm the guy who has to be like, well, I think it sucks, but what do I know? And now I know. Now I have a more concise term for it. It's like whenever somebody's like a foodie and they go to a restaurant, they got like a plastic bag full of essence or something that they blow over a meal. I'm like, yeah, this looks dumb as shit, but it's not my thing. People like this stuff. It's okay for you to like it. Yeah, Lynchian. There you go.
Yeah, Jordan,
it's
you
totally Lynchian.
Yeah, you should be happy that it's Lynchian too, because David Lynch notoriously like has a sense of humor, and like when he talks about his art, he talks about how he thinks his stuff is comedy. Like he is the one pranking the audience, and I don't think that Lou Reed or Metallica are smart enough to actually prank an audience. I think they just suck.
No.
And they made an album.
I
that
don't know.
sucks.
I think Lou Reed is. I mean, there's an interview where he talks about how he's like so obsessed with the persona of Lou Reed, and he feels some compulsion to like perpetuate this persona that he's created. But I'm like, so to some degree, he's in on the joke, and obviously, he's also like a miserable prick.
Dude,
But-
the thing that gives it away that this is a fucking prank is David Bowie said that this is the best thing Lou Reed ever did. It's a prank.
I don't think that's what he said. He didn't
sure
say
did.
that.
I'm sure he
He
said
sure
that
did.
sarcastically, because I also
did
don't
say
think
it
they
was
got
Because
along.
it's a bit. It's a fucking prank. He's being mean to Metallica.
Oh,
I think Bowie was being mean to Lou Reed in that quote.
Man.
Maybe.
like picking on Metallica, Lou.
I gotta
Haven't
tell
they
you,
been through enough?
I
Yeah.
when I was listening to this, I like during the first song, I started to feel almost like what Emily is describing, where I was like, man, this feels so different than the first time I listened to this. Like, I really feel like maybe I like this now. Like maybe it's like complex and weird in a way that's like that I appreciate, right? And then I looked at the track listing and I saw that each song gets successively longer. And I just like sank into my chair and I was like, well, maybe the second song is going to be good. And I like switched to the second song and it's like worse. And the third song is even worse than that. And by the fourth song, I was like in a spiral almost where I was like, man, it's been 3 or 4 years since we listened to this album, and I don't know that my feelings on it have changed at all. And it made me really sad that like I maybe haven't grown as a person at all. And this album made me think about that, and that made me really upset.
I don't think that's true, Jeremy. I think you've grown.
Oh
I
my
don't know,
god.
man.
That's so funny. Oh my god. That's how you know that that's the sign that an album's bad is like when one of us is like, I thought about my life, dude. I think that's ultimately the difference between a bad album and a bad movie is like a bad movie, you're like, look at all the, like, you can see what they did wrong, but then a bad album just makes you think about all the wrong shit you've done. Oh my God. Kyle, did this ruin your life? Have you heard anything that's worse
Jeremy's
than this?
review? Jeremy's review made me the saddest out of everything. About thinking like, oh, I haven't grown as a person because I didn't like something that sucked the first time around. Like, buddy, you're all right, man. I think you're doing fine. I think If anything, feel good that you've held fast, and you haven't things haven't gone worse in your life. You're like, I guess I'll like this now. I guess I'll justify this as being good because the quality of my life has sunk so low that this sounds.
I guess I need a defining personality trait now.
Yeah, I mean the YouTube comments it's like so much Stockholm syndrome of people like, like the last third of it really comes together. Like people just trying to justify it. It's like I mean, listen, I you know what? I've told you guys any project you've wanted me to be a part of, I'll say yes automatically. And you might have put a little rust on that promise. You might have put a dent in that promise that I made to you.
Something has been broken here today.
I think I texted you. We might be less. Yeah, we might be less friends after this.
We're Lou Reed and you're Metallica, and unfortunately we pranked you.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like.
And I'm Laurie Anderson.
Kyle, have you heard anything worse than this? Would you say?
Musically or just in the world?
Like
sonically?
Let's say both. Let's say both.
I am such a basic basic fucking dude. Like I don't even challenge I have XM radio and it's Hair Nation most of the time. So I don't feel I should be the person to really have strong opinions about music because I like crap everywhere. All the things I like are just crap. I
I'm
also
wearing
listen
a
to
Marauder shirt.
I'm dressed as Austin Powers.
I listen to music as a release from things that stress me out. Like I want to listen to music to feel good, feel happy. And then sometimes I'm a little sad little boy in 7th grade and I'll listen to angry music. I don't know, as a consumer of music, I don't know where this would fit in my life. You know what I mean? Like what kind of day are you having? Like, oof, this is a Lulu kind of day.
Yeah. What do you like? What task are you doing that you're putting this on to get yourself ready for?
Oh, you're tearing down the Berlin Wall.
Yeah. So I don't know what purpose this serves in the world that I live in.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a review of saying have I heard something worse. I mean, there's sonically there's things that are terrible that hurt. I have tinnitus, and I think silence with tinnitus is a better break than listening to this.
What Zumba class do they play Lulu at?
Yeah.
Jeremy, I want to say something because I'm thinking about what you said, and I think what is happening right now is you are coming out of a irony-induced coma, and you're seeing the world for how it is, and you are not sure how to have an opinion on this because you can't love it ironically and you can't hate it ironically. It just exists, and it either is bad.
It's very true. Yes.
Yeah.
Drew.
Yeah.
You really can't have a funny opinion about this album. It forces you to take a real stance.
Yeah.
Which in some ways does make it very effective art, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
If it wasn't Metallica and it was some 17-year-old kids down the street and they did let the Walmart greeter who's just enthusiastic to be like, I'll do it. I just like making stuff. And this is the album that came out of that. I would think that's completely beautiful. I would think that oh yeah, we don't know. Nobody wants to sing in our band. But the neighbor who just loves gardening, he's like, I'll take it for a spin. And he just says crazy shit. And we think it's awesome. I would love this in that
It would be like Wesley Willis.
That would be like the Shags, kind of.
Yeah.
This definitely feels like a Shag style situation, which is, I think this is worse than what the Shags made. And that is saying something since these are adult professionals.
Well, they should know better. Everybody should know better.
Yeah.
Everyone should know better in this band.
Yeah, nobody forced them to do this.
It's true.
Yeah.
These are some of the most influential men in their industry, and they did this.
But they were pretty lost at this time, as we've mentioned, and also like completely in a bubble where they have no idea really what's going on. I don't think.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
It does make me want to listen to what Kyle described, though. Like, I actually, if it wasn't Lou Reed and it wasn't Metallica, but it was note for note exactly the same, and it was 17-year-old kids and a schizophrenic that worked at Walmart, like, I would support it.
A cover of Lulu would be the true masterpiece.
Oh, God. It exists. That shit exists somewhere. There's dudes every day that keep trying. They like record Saint Anger with the snare on. Like they just there's people doing this.
I will say one thing that makes bad movies and bad music different too is the budget. Like if you think about it this way, right? Like you could make Lulu for $12, but you can't make Fast and the Furious 9 without spending the GDP of a small European country.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating to me.
Or like the Joel Schumacher Batman.
Right.
But you can make you could. Well, I think you're thinking about it differently, Drew, because you can make a Birdemic for $12. Like you can make a bad movie. This is like this is just a confused passion project. They 100% spent a ton of money making this thing.
Yeah.
But they didn't even have to.
Where do you think the money went? I mean, they did it at their own studio.
They probably put it into
leather jackets
promotion.
They all needed new leather jackets.
And they needed to find some human to sacrifice to cut their arms off for the album cover.
Right.
Right, that's like a real person, right? No, it's a doll. Never mind. I thought it was a doll body with a human face. I'm sorry.
They might have. I'm looking at the Wikipedia. They may have had to pay out these viola players quite a bit.
Right. They had a string section.
That's true, man. You want to talk about like a joyous experience listening to this album? The last like 7 minutes of Junior Dad is just like random ass fucking like ambient string nonsense. And I got to tell you, man, once that shit kicked in and we were like a minute in, I started to look at it. I was like, tell me the rest of this is just strings. Tell me the rest of it is just strings. And then it just kept going. I was like, oh, yes, baby, we are home free.
It's so funny. The hook of Junior Dad just, it makes it sound like, I like, it's so fucking haunting. It sounds like it would be like, for that moment when he just says, say hello to Junior Dad, I'm just like, it feels like a haunted, like the song becomes a fucking crazy sitcom or something, like just for that moment, and it's gonna say Junior Dad up top. I'm just like, it fucks me up. I can't hear this ever again in my life.
Yeah. I think that's a good segue into best songs, worst songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeremy, would you like to go first, as is apparently tradition?
Oh, sure. And I was going to say, Jordan, unfortunately, you are going to have to listen to this again in 3 years when GameSpot.com starts paying us for a podcast.
What's up? Welcome to IGN. Here's your top 10 songs that made me want to kill myself. Number 1, Junior Dad.
You're listening to the Bad Album Show on Kotaku.com. Anyway, I'm going to say my favorite song is probably Iced Honey, because it's at least kind of a song. It has like some sort of a structure to it that's discernible. Maybe second honorable mention for Junior Dad because of what I was saying about the end. And then probably worst is Cheat on Me felt like particularly... Like I was talking about before, how it feels like you're listening to Metallica while you drown. Cheat on Me very much felt like that to me.
Ugh. Yeah. Oh, boy. Emily?
I actually have the same ones as Jeremy. Iced Honey was my favorite. There were parts of it that sounded kind of like Velvet Underground. Didn't love James Hetfield's background vocals. But yeah, I kind of like that song. And I also think my least favorite is Cheat on Me. It's really long, it's very repetitive, and sort of embarrassing. And that's the only song that is embarrassing on the whole album.
The only one. Lucy?
My favorite and least favorite songs are also what I think are the funniest songs on the album. My favorite is Junior Dad. I think that got like a second chance with me this time around. It's not good, but it was like, but the strings were kind of cool, honestly. My least favorite is Brandenburg Gate, even though it is also pretty hilarious.
That's your least favorite?
Yeah.
All right. Great. All right. Drewby.
My favorite song, weirdly enough, this time was The View. And I think that's because I watched the music video and it made me think like this should have just been one song.
There's music videos?
There is a music video for The View, which is playing now. I am the table. And it made me feel like this could have just been a one song experiment, and it wouldn't have like been absolute torture. But then my least favorite song is actually also Brandenburg Gate because it was the first song, and it reminds me of like when you're at a restaurant and you order something and it tastes bad, and then you take like a second or third bite just to confirm that it tastes bad, and you have to send it back. That's what this album was for me.
Oh, this I thought it would be good to get the vulva with everything on it.
But I will say, because people at home do listen to these albums either before or after we make these, because they're insane. The best thing I've ever heard in my life was the come down for this was as soon as this album finished, I listened to All I Want for Christmas Is You by Mariah Carey. And it cheered me up so much. It was amazing.
I really have to implore you, dear viewer, if you haven't listened to this album already and you're waiting until after you finish this episode, I beg you, don't listen to it.
Don't
do it. Do not.
I like
Kyle?
the idea. Oh, I was gonna say, I like the idea that this is the darkness that will make everything else so much brighter in contrast in your life. Like anything you listen to after will now spring into being your favorite thing. This exists to trap darkness to make everything else more joyful after listening to it. So it serves its purpose. I mean, to pick a favorite and a least favorite, it's very Lynchian for me, you know?
So true, dude.
I think they both belong to frustration, both titles, mostly because when he's like at one point, like I told you, I was listening to this, like doing shit in the garage. It was when the neighbor came over and like spermless like a girl was like, bad impression. So that made it my least favorite. But in making up my own scenarios where Lou Reed is like, I'm looking at the lyrics now because I was like, what was he saying? Like, oh yeah, he's like, I feel the pain creep up my leg and blood runs up. I just imagine him at a doctor's office. Like, really. He's like, all I do is fall over. I don't have the strength I once had, and just Lou Reed complaining to a general practitioner with these various ailments.
Doctor, I'm spermless like a girl.
Yeah. Just Lou Reed having all these issues, be like, what's wrong with you today, Lou? Oh, buddy, let me tell you. I got a few things I'm trying to knock a few. And so I was enjoying the song from the standpoint of Lou Reed, having to talk to his physician.
But doctor, I am Lou Reed.
I'm now looking at this entire album that Lou Reed just wrote this while at urgent care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He slipped on black ice and hit his head and wrote this.
All I do is fall over is hilarious. That's like all I do is fall over. That's my job in the circus.
He's George Costanza's dad.
Ice rinks made of banana peels.
Oh my god. I'm going to say that either I will never forget Junior Dad as long as I live.
His eulogy.
Oh my god. I just can't, from the title alone, but it's just, I don't know if I can call it my favorite on this album because it's just the torture of the length is too much. So I might pick Brandenburg Gate as my favorite just because it's 4 minutes.
Mercifully short.
Mercifully short. And it does not have the plugged straight into the line 6 amp guitar tone. It doesn't have it for as long as the other songs. So I'm gonna go with those two. My least favorite is probably Frustration or Dragon. I just don't want him to hear him talking about cum and vaginas and shit. Like it's so upsetting. Oh my god!
You know he's got the white spittle in the side of his mouth when he's singing too.
Hot dog mustard.
Ugh.
We got to change out the pea popper again.
I don't want any more water. I want a vulva with everything on it.
You know my man was eating some sort of whitefish sandwich before going into the studio.
You know, Papaya King hot dogs used to be 10 cents. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4.
You call this a vulva with everything on it?
Can we change out my pea popper? It's encrusted in Dijon again.
I have capers in my pacemaker.
All I do is fall over. I got capers in my pacemaker.
All I do is fall over is like a perfect little poem about age. God damn.
New Balance my ass.
Works the same as the old Balance. That's what I say.
Shitty.
He's just a Borscht Bell comic.
You know who's a terrible doctor? That Doc Martin. My feet are killing me.
Take my wife's vulva, please.
Hello, mother. Hello, father. You're a vulva. Everything on it. Okay. On that note, Jeremy, tell the people where they can find you.
Oh, sure. You could find me on Twitter at Jeremy Thunder, and you can find my podcast. It's called Generation Loss. It's about
Loss.
the movies.
Loss.
Lost movies. Emily.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at A Pretty Big Mouth. You can listen to my podcast about getting drunk and searching for ghosts. It's called Ghosts to Show You.
Show you.
Show you.
Ghosts.
Lucy.
You can watch the podcast I co-host with Ray Kump. It's called Kump.
Come.
And, and you can also, follow me on Instagram at the Steinbag. But seriously, I never ever post there.
But when she does,
So
get
what I'm
ready
gonna do,
for it.
It's gonna
Oh
be
my
huge.
god. Unbelievable. A picture of a bird. It's going to be great. Drewby.
Hey, you can follow me on Instagram at diet_Hellboy. It's all photography. So yeah, pictures of birds. You can also find me downstairs washing my Austin Powers costume because I have sweat an entire liter of Sprite into it. Polyester doesn't breathe.
so true, King.
I tried the Starlight Coke flavor today, and I gotta say, it just tastes like sweated out Sprite. That just might be what it is.
I didn't actually drink Sprite. I just sweat Sprite. It's a medical condition similar to what took Lou Reed down.
Gotta get all the Sprite out of your liver.
Yeah.
Kyle, plug your socials, my friend.
Oh, man, it's just Kyle Kinane on all the stuff. I got a podcast called The Boogie Monster with my buddy Dave Stone. We were supposed to talk about ghosts, but that was 6 years ago. We ran out of good stories. The last episode was just Dave was real excited they opened a Cracker Barrel in L.A., so that's what we talked about last time.
Love that general store.
Yeah. The diabetes gauntlet you got to go through to get to some steamed chicken.
Yeah, a lot of people sweating Sprite there.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, there's no general store. It's just a ghost kitchen. Emily, you should cover it on your show.
I will. I will definitely.
Ghost kitchens to show you.
Kyle, you got shows coming up?
Show, yeah, a website, kylekinane.com. All the shows are listed. I don't know when this is coming out, but I always got shows. I don't stop doing shows.
Great.
Yeah.
It's coming out next week.
Yeah. Okay.
2 weeks.
Yeah. I'm out. Go to the calendar. Lots of shows. Can't stop doing them.
Can't stop doing the shows. All right, folks. Go to 2minuteslatenight.com for all the 2 Minutes to Late Night stuff. You can find the socials. You find the merch. Buy a shirt. We got new shirts. One of them is Big Dog. We got a Big Dog shirt now.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Everybody,
Dog.
let's say bye, but mostly to Courtney. Bye, Courtney.
Fighting.
I call this song the Bilderberg Gate. And I'm happy to play it all for you right now. I want to cut my clit off when I see Yakov Smirnoff and Soviet Union clit cuts you. And my dick and balls are sulking, but I hear Macaulay Culkin rapping at my chamber door. And the guy from the Toxic Avenger. And the guy from the Toxic Avenger. The man has my soul in a hole, but the hole is the goal. It's the goal for the trolls inside my small town boy. It gives me pause when I see the shark from Jaws. It gives me pause when I see that shark on Mars. Your little baby boy, teeth and hair and nails, all balled up in my uterus. Just like Ulysses doing a jukebox twist. The Oregon Trail is no longer for sale. The Oregon Trail is no longer for sale. The Oregon Trail is no longer for sale. Small town boy.
Lucy Cider, everybody. Oh my God.
Steinbeck, 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 Steinbeck.